Hello, this is Lisa from Boofy's Best for Pets. Happy Tuesday. We are here today with Daryl and Chris from Stella and Chewy's Pet Foods. They're going to talk to you about their wide line of products that are better food options for your dogs and cats. So I won't take up any more of your time. We'll just let them talk about what they know best, Stella and Chewy's.
Hi, I'm Daryl from Stella and Chewy's.
I'm Chris from Stella and Chewy's.
We're happy to be here.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
Our pleasure. Today we're going to talk about Stella and Chewy's and our line of products. I think the best place for us to start today is the origin of the company and how it got started and why Stella and Chewy's today does what they do. Back in the late 90s, our founder, Marie Moody, she was in the fashion industry. She wasn't very good at it and she hated her job. But she had to work, and she was lonely out in Los Angeles because that's who she was working, and she had rescued a dog named Stella. Stella had some separation anxiety and was tearing up all of Marie's personal stuff, couches, shoes, and after a few pair of shoes got destroyed, she was like, that's enough, I gotta do what any normal person would do in California, and took Stella to talk to a pet psychic. And they sat down, not Marie and the pet psychic, but the pet psychic and Stella. And Stella told the pet psychic that Marie wanted a boyfriend. And so Marie went to the local shelter and she found this dog who happened to be named Chewy. And at that time, Chewy was not a well dog. And Marie fell in love with this dog. Eyes are the window to the soul. She took this dog to the vet that called on all the shelter dogs. The vet had let Marie know that this dog has been in and out of the shelter and that she should actually return the dog because she's not sure what could be done for the animal. This was the purest moment in Marie's entire life. She felt so strongly about this animal. She fell in love instantaneously, and she felt she was the only person on the planet that could save this dog Chewy. And because of that determination to do so, and because she loved that animal so much, Marie wouldn't return the dog back to the shelter. And she started doing the research and discovered this alternative method of feeding called raw feeding. And so that was kind of the vehicle to the beginnings of Stella and Chewy's. It was the raw food that she made and served to both dogs, Stella and Chewy's, hence the name of the company. But Chewy had a transformation that took about 90 days, and he was totally back to health. All the autoimmune issues that were there just disappeared. The vet looked at Marie and said, this is what you should be doing. And it was because of that determination for that animal, Chewy, to fix him, to get him better, and the love for that animal, that the raw food was a vehicle to do so. And so she decided that she was going to quit the fashion industry and start making pet food for a living. So that's how the story got started, and that's where our origins started 16 years ago in 2003 when the company became a real company, Stella and Chewy's. We were just a raw, frozen company. Today at Stella and Chewy's, things are different. We're determined, just like Marie was, to fix Chewy, to make the best-in-class pet products out there, the best that we possibly can, manufacture them in-house. We're determined to do that so that any pet parent can give their dog the same love, or their cat the same love that Marie gave to Chewy. And so, yeah, our portfolio has changed. We have raw frozen, which is where it all started for us. We have freeze dried, which is also a raw product that we'll talk to you about here in a little bit. We have an oven baked kibble, and we have an extruded kibble line. So no matter what you want to feed your dog, we feel we have the best-in-class option and solution for you. And so with that, we'll start off with the very beginnings of our company, and I'll pass that on to Chris to talk a little bit about our raw frozen that we've been doing since our origins in 2003.
So in the frozen category, we have both frozen, and then we additionally have freeze-dried products in our raw family. So when it comes to our frozen diets and our freeze-dried diets, our offerings are going to come in at 95% meat, organ, and bone, 70% of that being muscle meat, 20% being organ, 5% of that being bone. We exclusively feature cage-free, grass-fed, and wild-caught protein sources in our freeze-dried and our frozen lines. Additionally, you're getting about 4% organic fruits and vegetables there. So where we really deliver for customers is we're delivering more meat in the bag, we're delivering better meat in the bag, and clean organic produce. Additionally, when it comes to our frozen and freeze-dried diets, you're getting 50 million CFUs of live-fed probiotic in every pound of our food, which is a huge value add for the dogs and a huge value add for the customers. So they're getting that bundle of probiotics and their delivery of amino acids and essential fatty acids through the frozen diet. So within the product family, we have quick thaw solutions for frozen in 4-pound packages. We have 3-pound packages of small medallions. And then additionally, we have our large 8-ounce patties in both 3-pound and 6-pound and 12-pound. When it comes to freeze-dried, this is kind of the entry gate into raw for customers. So when it comes to the stepping stone item, I definitely recommend the meal mixers. The meal mixers are easier to serve. You don't have to break them apart yourself. You just scoop it and put it into your kibble. So our whole goal here is to get more raw into a pet's bowl, not completely raw. So it makes it a very, very easy avenue to start adding some raw to the diet and start seeing those benefits over time. We additionally have freeze-dried patties, which are going to have more protein varieties on, same exact ingredient panels on both the meal mixers and the freeze-dried patties. You just have to break them up yourself. So as long as you're comfortable handling raw, definitely recommend the freeze-dried patties.
So why raw? Because we're talking about frozen, we're talking about freeze-dried, and we're talking about raw. Some of you out there might be saying, raw. And some of you, this is just preaching to the choir. But when you're looking at just the pinnacle of, or apex of feeding for pets, we started with raw because that's what dogs would be eating if they were out in the wild. Dogs and wolves share 99.9% of the mitochondrial DNA. They're almost identical when it comes to their physiology. The mitochondrial DNA is intrinsically linked to their physiology, their GI tract. How they digest out in the wild is how your dog at home digests their food. And so feeding them a raw diet is what animals thrive on out in the wild. And so we feel as a company that that's the pinnacle of it all. If you had a quality chain, that would be the top floor. And so, that's where we started. And that's why we are big advocates for raw food. And we feel that we have all these different options to get customers like yourselves comfortable and into the category. Like Chris said, meal mixers is a great way to just add raw to any kibble diet. And at some point in your shopping journey here at Boofy's, we want to see everybody feed raw at least once a week.
At least.
So that's a little bit about the raw. As we evolved as a company, we want to continue to bring more and more customers into the Stella and Chewy's community. Raw is for some people, and it's not for everybody. So most customers like yourself out there feed kibble. But we're Stella and Chewy's, and we have, raw food. We have freeze-dried raw. We want to bring more people into that category. And so a vehicle for us to do so is kibble. But the thing about raw is that it's minimally processed. The less processed something is, the more nutritionally viable it is for your pets. And that's why the raw is like a big deal. But again, you got to crawl before you walk. And so we came out with a kibble, and we didn't want to go on the opposite side of the spectrum to the most processed food on the planet. And that's why we came out with an oven-baked initially with our launch. Most of the kibble out there, probably 95% of the kibble out on the market right now is an extruded kibble, and there's nothing wrong with extruded kibble. It's just when it comes to making pet food, that's the most highly processed of all the pet food is the extrusion. And we didn't want to start there. We have it, and we're going to talk about that. But oven baked is where we feel any pet food customer should start. When you're talking about extruded kibbles, most of them out there, they use high temperature and high pressure. And the combination of the high temperature and the high pressure creates these bursts of heat that eclipse 400 or 500 degrees. For the science geeks out there, heat damage starts at about 125, 130, and at that point you start to have nutritional breakdown. Again, that's why raw is so important, because you don't have any heat involved in the process. Oven baking is a much gentler way of cooking the food. The extrusion, remember, high temperature, high pressure, 500 degrees, okay, and they're cooking with the extruded kibbles out there very, very quickly. It's happening within 30 seconds to 60 seconds. In order to get something cooked that quickly, you're using a whole lot of heat. The oven baked is different. At Stella Chewy's, we have our own manufacturing plant. We do all of our frozen and freeze dried in-house, and we now have a 150-foot oven, which bakes all of our oven baked kibble. And when it comes to oven baked kibble, they take the product, it's in its raw state, it gets shaped, it goes onto a conveyor belt, and then it goes through this oven, which again is 150 feet long, and it slowly cooks. The internal temperature of that kibble never exceeds 195 degrees. So it's actually cooking from the outside in. And with that, you have significantly more nutrient retention than extruded product. When it comes to oven baked, you have nutrient retention that eclipses 80-90%. Again, raw, you're getting almost 100% nutrient retention. When it comes to oven baked, you're talking north of 80%, 90%. So it's more nutrient viable, and it keeps you guys in the minimally processed conversation. What else about the oven baked is it's just more palatable. Baked is best. It tastes better. Just like oven baked kibble, potato chips taste better. Oven baked cookies taste better. When it comes to oven baked kibble, palatability is a big deal. Nutritional density is a big deal. You feed less. You can actually feed less and get more nutrition out of that kibble. So there's a value to that. The next thing we do that's really, really special about our kibble at Stella Chewy's with the raw coated and the raw blend is the raw inclusion. We're Stella Chewy's, so we're going to include raw. We have two different iterations of our brand. We have a raw coated, and then we have a raw blend. On the raw coated, it's a 65% meat, and it's beef right here, 65% meat. You can see beef recipe. It's grass-fed and it's grass-finished, which is really, really important. But the magic is after the kibble is baked, every single piece of the kibble is coated with 2 to 3% meal mixer dust. So we take this stuff right here, the meal mixers, it gets ground down into a fine powder, and then our secret sauce post-baking is to take the meal mixer dust and coat all the kibble. And the kibble has meal mixer dust all over the kibble, so I'm actually going to open the bag here, and you can see in the bag, oopsie, there's raw freeze-dried all over all the different kibble pieces here, and you can see it on my fingers. And again, this is just an easy, simple way to get a super nutritious kibble into your pet's diet, but start to slowly introduce raw freeze-dried to your pet. Our goal is to get you guys as customers comfortable feeding our brand. Seeing how your dog attacks the bowl, mealtime experience will be amazing. And then our goal is to hope that at some point you'll decide to try our freeze-dried, which is even more palatable, and work your way up, or stellavate your way up the Stellavator to get to the freeze-dried and raw portion of what we have to offer you at home. So that's the raw coated. So here you go. You have a 2%, 3% raw inclusion, kind of dipping your toe in the raw world there. But again, the key here is the fact that it's oven baked. Baked is best. So that's really, really key. The second iteration that we have is the raw blend. Again, also coated with 2 to 3% raw. Little bit more exotic formulas. This one right here is the free range recipe. You have lamb, goat, and elk. We have a bunch of other options for you guys to come down to Boofy's and check out. But the major difference here is it's 70% meat. You have the raw coating, but then inside the bag you have meal mixer pieces. So there's a 22-pound version of this right here. Inside the 22-pound bag, there's going to be over a pound of freeze-dried meal mixer. Basically this bag right here in a 22-pound bag of our raw blend. So you get a great value, a great bundle of oven-baked raw coated kibble with freeze-dried meal mixer pieces in the bag. So another great option for you to try.
It's a stellar value.
Oh, I see how you did that.
Yeah.
So again, back to that oven-baked versus extrusion story. To make it easier for you guys, because we have our own product line, when you're talking about oven-baked, I said you have 80%, 90% nutrient retention. When it comes to extrusion, again, you're using significantly more heat. It's more processed, so you probably have about 40 to 50% nutrient retention. I like to just do this example right here. You have the same exact bag of food, okay? This is a peer in our industry. This is without getting into ingredient panels or anything like that, just the same exact bag. If I was to take the Stella Chewy's magic wand, take this one bag of extruded kibble, and now all of a sudden, poof, it becomes oven-baked. This bag, because it's oven-baked, although everything about this product is exactly the same, because it's oven-baked, it's 30-40% better than the extruded version of itself. So that's just to paint a different type of picture for you. The oven-baked makes that much more of a difference, which means you're going to get about 30-40% more nutrition out of the oven-baked version of this product. So just wanted to do that little demo for you right there. So that's our oven-baked kibble, and I'll pass it on to Chris so he can get into the next product.
What I will say before we move on with the oven-baked kibble is if you are interested in increasing the overall bioavailability, digestibility, the overall quality of your pet's food coming from an extruded food, there is no easier path than to try the oven-baked formulas. Again, you get that 80% to 90% nutrient density, a softer kibble that's going to break down easier in the digestive process. And as well, you're introducing those amino acids, essential fatty acids into the diet through that freeze-dried delivery. So it's a really, really easy way to up what you're doing for your pet. So quickly, moving on from the oven-baked kibble, we do have a line of raw blend and raw coated kibbles for cat. Again, the basis of our company, where we started and were developed, was in this concept of prey model or feeding based on the physiology of a dog or a cat. So we wanted to have that high protein, high meat content offering for cats in the store as well. So again, we're going to be looking at 65% meat content in our raw coated offering, and that's going to have that overall 2 to 3% raw coating on the outside of each piece of kibble. Additionally, we have the raw blend, which is going to jump you up to overall 7% raw in the bag. So cats are obligate carnivores. When it comes to kibble, there's got to be something there to bind it together. So we're pushing those meat levels as high as we can and delivering raw nutrition that cats thrive on. So we have several different options and varieties in the new raw blend and raw coated offerings for cats. And again, it's a great way to dip your toe into the raw world while being comfortable and still able to feed like you normally do on your kibble.
On the cats especially, like Chris said, being obligate carnivores, most dogs will eat anything. So getting them to eat raw frozen is not as much of a daunting task as for cats. A lot of times, unless you were to get kittens straight from the get-go, feeding raw, it could be difficult. Some cats just don't take to it. A lot of times, customers think their cats don't like the frozen raw, and that's not necessarily the case. It's more of a temperature and texture thing. And one of the big things about frozen raw is it's pretty cold, and if you don't defrost it down to at least room temperature, the cat might not take to it, because when they're actually hunting in your house or outside or out in the wild, they like their prey at a kill temperature, which is about 100 degrees. And if you start trying to give them something that's raw that might be, 50 degrees defrosted, they might not take to it. And so
it also doesn't have the strongest smell too when it's cold too. So what we always do, because we have kitties that are raw fed, we add warm water to it to bring it up to temperature, and also increases the aroma, and then they're more willing to eat it that way.
No, that's a great point. And I guess where I was going with this also is like there's a roadmap to get all cats to feed raw, and this is a great option. So again, 2% raw, 7% raw, you're getting the cat's paws kind of dipping their toe in the water there. You know, it's a great way to get them in. Then they taste it. That natural instinct might come out of its dormancy stage, and you could start adding, you know, some of the freeze-dried and the frozen options that we also have on the Stella and Chewy's frozen raw, which are higher meat content than our dog.
Yeah, so with a cat line of freeze-dried products and frozen products, you're going to see, like Daryl said, a higher percentage of meat. Again, obligate carnivores. We're coming in at 98% meat, organ, and bone on our freeze-dried and our frozen line. So we're going to have matching proteins between our freeze-dried and frozen offerings. Big key here is adding that moisture back into the diet for cats. If you are feeding exclusively freeze-dried, very important to add the moisture back in, which we actually have a line of human-grade wet foods that you could add to it. So we recently have launched a line of wet foods for both dog and cat. Really the unique features here are just in the quality that we're putting into that carton. So you are getting 100% human-grade recipes in both dog and cat Tetra Packs, all USDA inspected muscle meat, so nothing mechanically separated or pressed and reformed back together. You're getting a very
no pink slime.
No pink slime. No pink slime. Very clean ingredient panels on the dog side. Again, you're going to get that feature of organic fruits, or organic vegetables in that line. And where these both really shine and differentiate from anything else is all the moisture content in both the dog and the cat Tetra Packs is fully bone broth. So you're not just paying for filtered water in a can, and you're not just paying for a broth. You're getting full delivery of bone broth, which is just going to carry a higher nutritional yield for the cats and dogs. As well, New Mexico, everybody loves animals. Everybody loves the environment here. You have beautiful scenery. This packaging is fully recyclable. So the Tetra Packs can go right into the recycling bin. They're actually composed of over 70% paper. So there's a lot less waste in the process to get this wet food into your pet's bowl. Just to jump back quickly, we went through kind of briefly our freeze-dried and our frozen morsels for cats. So these are going to be what mimic our freeze-dried morsels for freeze-dried, but in a frozen variety. We actually launched within the last year our Stella Selects. We found just a superior texture. We have a really, really high conversion rate with cats new to raw on this product. It's 100% muscle meat. You're getting a higher moisture content in there that the cat's going to love. As well, we've added a couple of ingredients, being gelatin and egg, to the formula, which just give it a really, really nice texture that latches on when cats go to the bowl and eat. All USDA inspected muscle meat, again, cage-free, grass-fed, and wild-caught protein sources. Right now we have it in 2 1-pound packages for chicken and turkey.
I do have one perfect tip. Yeah, see how I did that. For those of you, again, trying to get cats to feed raw, one of the little tricks that we recommend is take the freeze-dried and make it into a powder and then put it onto your cat's paws. And cats like to clean themselves, and they'll lick their paws, and they'll taste the freeze-dried. And again, they're tasting it when they're actually licking their paws, and then all of a sudden it's not something that's foreign to them. It's something that they're familiar with, and then when it's offered to them, it increases the probability that they're going to take to it right away. So there's just another easy little way to trick your cat into eating raw. So yeah, so that's the frozen, that's the freeze dry, that's the wet. And also you have the kibble on the cat side of things. We went over the frozen, we went over the freeze dried, and we went over the oven baked on the Stella and Chewy's dog portion of things. And we also want to talk about some of the newer additions that we have. You talked about the Stella stews.
We went through the Stella stews. Okay.
So,
absolutely.
And let's talk about some of the new additions, Chris, because I'll let you do this because I know you love this stuff. This is
So this is our new hemp oil supplement treat that we launched recently. 100% of the hemp that's being sourced for these treats is pulled out of Colorado. So very quality hemp source there. you're getting 3 milligrams of hemp oil in every serving in the bag, which is per treat. You're getting 50 treats total per bag, so 150 milligrams in the bag completely. We've specifically formulated these with accompanying ingredients with calming your dog down, or if you have run into hip and joint issues, they're very focused products, which that hemp oil is going to accent the additional ingredients in both of these. The really unique thing about these treats is again, back to prey model, we believe in a high meat content. These are meat first ingredient treats, a soft chewable treat. And B, the actual hemp oil in the line is water soluble, so it's going to deliver easier in your dog's system while they're digesting the treat. You're going to get a better act on that 3 milligram serving. We've got some more treats coming in actually from the right.
Here too.
Fire
Someone
away.
asked, does the cat food contain ground bone? And that's referencing the raw food.
Stella Selects, no. That's one thing that we left out. We left out the bone. There's no bone in the Stella Selects. In the original morsels for cats, there is ground bone in the original morsels for cats right here. They're 98% meat.
And we do use an emulsifier on all of our bones, so you're not going to find any fragmentation of bone in the product.
Yeah.
It's ground down to a powder you're not even going to be able to see in the final product.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So we got some more treats over here on the table. These are great ways to jump into our brand. We have both offerings in the baked side and then additionally in the freeze-dried side. So if you are interested in trying our freeze-dried diets or maybe even our oven-baked kibble, but you want to maybe do it in a treat form, we have that offering. So we have single ingredient treats that you can see on the table. I think we have our chicken heart treat and also our beef liver treat. Those are exactly what it sounds like. They are single ingredient treats that are freeze dried raw. So great value under the $10 mark to pick up and try out and maybe try your first treat of raw food with your pet. We also have our wild weenies on the end there, and that's kind of a fun treat that we launched about 2 years ago now. Those are going to be composed of about 3 to 4 ingredients, 3 being meat ingredients and organ, and then you're going to get an algae casing on the outside. So the really unique feature with these treats are if you train with dogs, if you're going out for a hike and you want to stuff some treats in your pouch, you want to break them up as you go, you're not going to be left with a mess because that algae casing actually keeps everything together really, really nicely. So all of those are going to be high incentive rewards for your dogs at home as well. If you are a cat owner, feel free, you can pick up a package and it's totally safe and physiologically appropriate for your cat as well.
We also have the oven-baked biscuits. So biscuits aren't just biscuits anymore. At Stella and Chewy's, we came out with an oven-baked biscuit, which we also manufacture at our 300,000 square foot manufacturing facility. But what makes ours different from any others out there is it's a prey model biscuit, so that means very high on the meat side of things. But again, just like our oven-baked kibble, all of our oven-baked biscuits are coated with freeze-dried raw. Same concept as the kibble. The meal mixer dust gets ground down, and secret sauce post-baking has it stick to the outside of the biscuit. So it's great because it's a great entry-level way to get customers like yourselves to try an oven-baked product, and then again, elevate your way up to the oven-baked kibble. Also, we've expanded our line out from just the grain-free to now with ancient grains and wholesome grains. So we have a raw blend and raw coated option now, solution for customers that are looking for a product out there that has grain in it. So we're very, very excited about these new additions.
What grains do you use?
We use pumpkin, we use quinoa, we use some barley, but it's, that's right, pearl oat. So this is legume and also potato free.
That's one thing I want to jump in on. Our entire line does feature additional taurine content in it. We've done that since the dawn of existence with our product. So not only do we deliver a high level of organ meat in our recipes, we're also adding taurine to each one of the diets. So not only In our wholesome grain recipes, we have the guaranteed 0.2% taurine listed on the side of the package. But additionally, these do carry the same 0.2% taurine content. It's just not on the packaging. It will be reflected when we get new bags in-house, but we have not used all of the existing bags yet. So that will reflect eventually across the board. But the really nice feature with this new wholesome grain recipe is, at the current moment as it stands, there really isn't any option other than to go to an extruded food if you need grains in the diet. So now, again, we can keep you in a minimally processed conversation with a product that's been heated at a much lower temperature and cooked much more gently. So it keeps you in that world of minimally processed. You're still getting that high meat content, like our grain-free selections, and you're still getting that raw inclusion in the diet.
The last thing I want to talk about is on the kibble side of things, and then we have one more brand new product that I think is amazing. We'll talk about that in a bit. But we also launched our own version of an extruded kibble. Gently extruded, the internal temperature never exceeds about 265 degrees. Really what this is all about the fact that it's grass-fed and grass-finished beef. All the product is, on the poultry side of things, is cage-free. Currently, we have a beef and chicken with ancient grains. There's some other options out there, but if you want to get into the Stella and Chewy's family, raw's not your thing yet. This is a great place to start. Extremely palatable, feeds well, ingredient panel stacks up with any other kibble that's out there, but this is a great starting point to get into our brand, and then we could slowly coach you up to using some of our other products. You can go on to our website at stellaandchewies.com and see some of the other options that we have. One of the other things that we just came out with freeze-dried, which is awesome, is the Marie's Magical Dinner Dust. Really, really simple. It's our meal mixer dust ground down into a very fine powder. That if you're not feeding Stella and Chewy's right now and you're feeding any kibble out there on the market, you're able to create your own version of a coated kibble. And so you could take the magic dust and you could sprinkle it all over the kibble, really coat it, lather it up with that freeze-dried, and that's another great way to add palatability. It's a great way to get freeze-dried raw as a starting point into any kibble diet. If you have a real finicky dog and you've tried our meal mixers or any kind of topper where the dog starts to pick the pieces out and won't eat the kibble and just will eat the meal mixers or any other freeze-dried or meat added option that you're adding into the kibble, you could really coat that kibble. That will prevent that from happening. You can add warm water and make a freeze-dried gravy and add that to the kibble, so you're getting moisture into the diet with the freeze-dried, adding palatability. And one other thing, if you have, if you guys at home are giving your dogs or your cats any powdered supplements, glucosamine, chondroitin, enzymes, probiotics, this is a great thing to use as a flavor base. So you could take this, you can add the supplements in there, mix it up. Just working in retail for as long as I did, one of the issues that we used to see with some of these powdered supplements is the dogs weren't drawn to it. This is a great way to mix all your powdered supplements into this magical dinner dust, and that could be a flavor base, and then apply it to the food, and we guarantee that the dog's gonna eat everything because this stuff is magical, and so it would only make sense that it disappear. Oh, see how I did that. So that's our spiel. You know, and again, we're really excited to be partners with Boofy's. We appreciate the opportunity and the time, and hopefully, you know, we've shed a light now for you on our brand, and come on in and give it a shot. Chris, do you have any parting words for people at home watching on Facebook Live?
I would just say Boofy's is an incredible partner for Stella and Chewy's. As you can see, very supportive of what we offer. I think we align very well with what Lisa and Jeff are doing in the store, and definitely come in and try it out. We've got a great offering. We're constantly pushing the boundaries of what we can do in pet food in terms of quality, in terms of processing, in terms of product safety. So try it out. There's tons of great landing spots for you within our brand, and thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for coming today.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
sharing all
Bye,
your info with our
everybody.
customer. Have a great one.